What's up, guys? It's me, ZombieX, back with another video. Now, yeah, this is what if Deku was a god. And I did not do this artwork. I did not do this artwork. This is the person who did this artwork, so shout out to them. I just found this on Google. So shout out to this person here. They made this amazing artwork. I can't do this stuff in a million years, so yeah. Now, Deku's just gonna be the god of absolute power. He's able to give himself any power he wants. So basically, he's gonna be the god of absolute power, reincarnated into a kid, and his power is gonna be technically a quirk. And I'm gonna go off of this theory that I don't know who created, but I've heard of it. And I'm gonna say that in the original, Deku had this quirk, but it was taken away by the doctor because, little spoiler alert, the doctor that did Deku's quirk test is the doctor for All For One, or the Nomu creator. So there's a theory going around that Deku had this absolutely godly quirk, and the doctor just took it away. So yeah, so this is gonna be going off of that theory, but the doctor, that wasn't the doctor, it was a different doctor now, evaluating Deku, and basically Deku's born like any other baby. He's crying for his mom and stuff like that. And when Deku goes to the quirk doctor, the doctor says that he has a quirk, but they can't explain it because it's so versatile. He's able to give himself any quirk, and there's no limit to how many quirks they could be. He could set the drawbacks for however he wants. So he basically is able to have no drawbacks to the quirk. He's able to give other people quirks. So yeah, Deku's gonna basically be an overpowered god in this what if, because I want to make him an overpowered god. I feel like this is gonna be really good. So Deku hears this and he's like, oh my god, I'm gonna be the best superhero in the entire world. I'm gonna be able to protect the entire world. So yeah, this is gonna be really good. So Deku goes to school the next day, and Bakugo showing off his quirk, and then he says, hey Deku, what's your quirk? And Deku says, oh, my quirk is absolute power god, or absolute god of power, god of absolute power, whatever you want to call it. And he was like, what? It sounds so cool, what is it? And Deku basically says, oh, I'm able to create any quirk that I want and give it to myself or give it to other people. So, yeah. And nobody could take this quirk. It's like, it's part of me. That's the first quirk that I made. Nobody could copy it, and nobody could, like, disable it or something like that. So that's basically my quirk. And Bakugo thinks this is so cool. And they're friends, because I want to make them friends. They're basically brothers. They're inseparable. I have like 2 quote-unquote brothers. They're not blood related, but they're my brothers. Like, shout out to you guys. So, yeah. So they're like inseparable. They're best friends. So basically, Deku's top dog, but he isn't arrogant. Like, yeah, he can be a little cocky because he knows he's powerful, but he's not as arrogant as Bakugo. So, yeah. Deku basically, so basically, I'm gonna give you guys a rundown of what quirks he's given himself. He has given himself Ultra Instinct, mastered, like, Ultra Instinct, like, there's no drawbacks to it. Like how Goku can't handle the angelic power or the divine power or whatever. He can handle it, so he's basically untouchable in that. I'm also giving him, like, absolute perfect memory, so he's able to watch you fight once and know how your fighting style is. He's also an absolute god in hand-to-hand combat. He's like a prodigy in hand-to-hand combat, martial arts, stuff like that. He's a prodigy at using swords. He's a prodigy at using bows. He's a prodigy at using guns. Oh, and he's a prodigy at playing guitar. He's a prodigy at card throwing. He's a prodigy at magic. Like, just like street magic, show magic, stuff like that. I'm also giving him, like, super strength. Like, he's extremely strong. Like, he could probably lift a building. He's probably as strong as Superman after he's been soaking in the sun for a while. And giving him super speed, so he's about as fast as the Flash. Light speed, basically. I'm giving him super healing, so he basically, you chop off his arm and it instantly grows back. So, yeah. And I'm gonna say a few heroes hear about him. And I'm gonna say, like, All Might walks up to him and he says, "Hey, kid." And Deku looks up to All Might a lot. And he's like, wait, All Might, can you sign my notebook? Yeah. He's around, like, I want to say he's around 10 right now. So, yeah, he basically says, "All Might, can you sign my notebook?" And All Might signs the notebook, and he says, "Hey, kid, I need to ask a few favors of you." And basically he says, like, he's heard that he can give people quirks, and he's able to, like, create quirks and stuff like that. And he was wondering if he could give him a few quirks. Just a few. Like, battle strategy and healing. Like, basically, not as good healing as his healing factor, as Deku's healing factor, but enough healing factor to the point to where it's pretty hard to kill him. Like, it's exponentially harder to kill him. So, yeah. So Deku gives him battle strategy, and he gives him healing. And Endeavor walks up to him and he asks if he could have the ability to be heat resistant. So, yeah, that happens. Deku gives him a better heat resistance, but it isn't, like, too good. He will still get overheated, but it'll be harder. So, yeah, that happens. What else do I want to give Deku? Oh, I want to give him Spider Sense. Like, not only does he has Ultra Instinct, but he has Spidey Sense. Just to make sure that he's untouchable. I'm just going off of some things that I see on my Marvel Heroes poster that I have in my room. I'm gonna give him the ability to use Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. So that's a thing. So yeah, he has Mjolnir, but he doesn't really use it because he can use it, but he really uses it for, like, he only uses it for, like, capturing people because they can't lift it. So, yeah. Deku has extreme telekinesis. Like, you know how his mom has telekinesis? But amp that up by about 10 quadrillion? 10 quadrillion. So yeah, he is absolutely overpowered with telekinesis. I'd say that's about it right now. So yeah, Deku's an absolute god. Like, so I'm gonna say that I forgot to mention, since he's like absolute best friends with Bakugo, I'm gonna give Bakugo some quirks. Since Bakugo's quirk runs off of his nitroglycerin sweat, I'm giving him the ability to make his body hotter. So like he heats up his body heat so that he's able to sweat more, so he's able to launch off bigger explosions. And you know how Bakugo has to worry about launching too big explosions because his bones will start to hurt? Yeah, that's not happening. Deku fixed that. So yeah, Bakugo has not a lot of drawbacks. So yeah. And he also gave him a smaller healing factor. Like, smaller than All Might's, but not too small. So yeah, it's a healing factor. So, yeah. So I'm gonna say Deku's 13 now. He looks similar to this. Like, he has, like, one piercing here. His hair is a lot better. He wears a bracelet. And, yeah. So, basically, Deku and Bakugo, they get in a fight with, like, a big gang. Like, a gang that is well known for, like, making comments. And they don't worry about getting hurt or anything like that because A, Deku's a god. B, Bakugo's an absolute beast with his quirk. And C, they just don't care. Like, seriously, they just don't care. So, yeah. Deku and Bakugo absolutely wreck that gang. Like, Deku's an absolute god at hand-to-hand combat. He knows, like, 10 martial arts that I'm not gonna name because I don't know 10 martial arts. But I'm gonna name a few. He has Taekwondo, he has karate, he has judo, he has jujitsu, and he has kung fu. And those are only 4. And he has 6 others. So he's like kickboxing, boxing, aikido, whatever. So, yeah. Not only that, but he has Spidey Sense, Ultimate Memorization, and Ultra Instinct mastered. So, yeah, that gang got wrecked. Bakugo took some people out, but I'm gonna say it was like 100 on 2. Deku took out like 90 of them, and Bakugo took out 10. So, yeah, Deku is absolutely wrecking people. So, yeah. After this, he realizes that it might be a lot smarter to give himself some emitter quirks. So he gives himself electricity. Well, he has electricity from Mjolnir, but he gives himself electricity if Mjolnir is like unreachable for some reason. He gives himself wind. And, like, he has telekinesis, but he gives himself the power to control wind. So yeah, that's a thing. And he's able to control all life. Oh, he is also able to control time. So he's able to go back in time to stop stuff. But that's only if he somehow messes up. Because he's a god. So yeah, he's able to fast forward, rewind things, and go back in time to stop stuff. And pause people in time. So, yeah. Deku is kind of really overpowered. So, yeah. Let's get into this. So, Deku's walking home from, it's the last day of middle school. The teacher does the papers. Deku hasn't really upgraded any of his classmates' quirks, only Bakugo. And they're like, teacher says everybody wants to be heroes, like yada yada yada. And he says, oh, 2 people want to go to UA, Bakugo and Izuku. Nobody really calls him Deku because he's not useless. Yeah. Deku, basically. So yeah. I also forgot to say, Deku has like intelligence beyond Nezu. So yeah, Deku has the best grades in the entire country, maybe world. So yeah, Deku basically has gotten like 20 recommendations from all 20 heroes that he's helped. I'm not gonna name them all. Like 18 of them were smaller heroes that he wanted to help, but the big two, Endeavor and All Might, he helps them, so he gets recommendations from them. So yeah. So I also forgot to mention, All Might doesn't get injured. Like, he's prime All Might. And every once in a while, he asks, every 5 years, he asks Deku to rewind him 5 years, rewinds his body 5 years, so that he's able to stay in tip-top shape. So he's prime All Might. So, yeah. And because he has All for One, like, the healing factor that he's stacked on, it's stacked on. And the battle strategy is stacked on. So, yeah. So, it's the Sludge Villain attack time. Sludge Villain comes after him. Deku basically just brainwashes him and says, you are going to turn yourself into the police or a hero, and you're going to appeal to your sentence. And yeah, after you get out, you're going to be a normal citizen. So yeah, he basically just like defeats the Sludge Villain by just talking to him or looking at him. You know how like there's one Punch Man and there's one Look Man who is Itachi. This guy is basically one Thought Man. So yeah, he just has to think about it, and you're defeated. So, yeah. So, All Might slides around the corner, and he says, I am here. And he basically sees the Sludge Villain just standing there, and then he sees Deku on the other side. And he's like, oh, young Midoriya, you're here. Did you stop the villain? And Deku's like, yeah, what else was I supposed to do? Let him kill me? And they know each other. They have like a good relationship. Like, they're like bros because one, Deku helped him, and two, who wouldn't want to be bros with possibly the strongest person in the world? So yeah. So that happens. All Might basically just like takes the Sludge Villain. Deku says that I brainwashed him and stuff like that. He's gonna appeal to his sentence and stuff like that. So yeah. Deku, that basically happens. So basically the 10 months training period, he basically trains his body. Like, Deku's ripped, but he's lean. And his stamina, is over 9,000. I'm joking. His stamina is it's unlimited. Like, yeah, he has unlimited stamina. His body's ripped. He's extremely fast, extremely smart, extremely strong. So, yeah. you can't stop him. Like, I'm pretty sure if he wanted to, he could kill Superman. He technically could. I mean, if he creates a quirk to generate kryptonite, then yeah, he could kill Superman. Very easy. So, yeah. And on this training period, I'm giving him another quirk, and that's, like, invisible armor. So even if you do somehow touch this dude, you can't touch him. Like, you'll just hurt yourself. So yeah, he's able to create force fields and turn invisible for spy missions and stuff like that. Completely erase his presence. So he basically just worked on the stealth part of his quirks. So, yeah. That happens. Oh, and because nobody could really stop him, he's done vigilante work since he was 13. So yeah, he's a well-known vigilante. But he stops during the 10-month training period. So yeah, he has battle experience. His battle experience, he created a quirk for battle experience. So, yeah. I was gonna say he's put about 50 villains, criminals, thugs in jail. So, yeah. Deku's already got a reputation. So anyways, he doesn't take any like, recommendations because he wants to go through the motions and stuff like that. He wants to prove that he's worthy, even though everybody knows that he's already worthy to be in UA. So yeah, Deku basically aces the entrance exam. He doesn't trip or anything like that. So he doesn't meet Ochaku. But, yeah, so he basically aces the entrance exam. Ida doesn't yell at him or anything. Well, actually, him and Bakugo are talking during President Mike's explanation. And Ida, like, gets mad. And then he turns around and he's about to speak, but then Deku just he basically just talks to him in his mind and he says, "Oh, I'm listening, don't worry about it. You should probably just focus on yourself. Try anything and you'll probably die." So, yeah. Now Ida's really mad. So he walks up to Bakugo and Deku and he's like, you guys are interrupting everybody. And, basically, they weren't, like, talking loudly. They were just like, hey, can you pass me this pencil or something like that? Like, they were talking about it. Like, they were talking about the entrance exam, like, how they're gonna do this and stuff like that. And they were technically, like, just making battle strategies and stuff like that. And Ida, being Ida, gets mad at them for making battle strategies. So, yeah. Basically, Deku says, you have no idea what we were talking about. For all you know, we could have been talking about battle strategies, which we were, and listening at the exact same time. And now you're not listening, and now you're causing a big scene, distracting everybody. So, yeah, who's the real one distracting people? Ida, obviously being Ida, gets mad at this. And he basically walks off to his seat because Deku's right. He is interrupting people and he has no idea what they were talking about. So yeah, he's basically mad at Deku for no apparent reason. So, other than the fact that, he just got embarrassed. So, yeah. And he has no idea who Deku is. He has no idea that Deku could literally just wreck him with one thought. So, yeah. So Deku basically walks up to the front of the gate, and he basically goes into Ultra Instinct mode because he doesn't want to be caught lacking. His spider sense is always on. He basically gets his super speed charging up, his super strength. He summons Mjolnir. So, yeah. Oh, and his armor is always on. So, yeah. So, basically, President Mike says, go. The gates open. And, like, 1 minute you see Deku there, and the next minute he's gone. So, yeah. Deku's, like, destroying robots, and it's only been, like, 3 seconds, and he already has 200 points. So, yeah. He's like, throwing Mjolnir all over the place, making sure not to hit anybody. He's basically dodging everything, punching holes through the robots. And basically he's racked up about 1,000 points before he basically just like sits on a building with his phone, like basically texting his mom and like his friends from his other school, from middle school and stuff like that. And yeah. So, and then he sees a 0 pointer, and he's like, I'll just leave it, it's only 0 points. So, yeah, and then he hears, like, somebody help me, please help. And so he looks down, and he sees Ochako in the rubble, and he, like, goes down and smashes it with Mjolnir, and then, he basically just, like, summons a thunderstorm to absolutely wreck the 0 pointer. So not, and then he like basically carries her to Recovery Girl. So yeah, so he has 1,000 points, and then on top of that he has like 70 rescue points, so 1,070 points. So yeah, he's obviously first. He's got the most points in all of history. So yeah. So not only is he smarter than Nezu, he corrects Nezu on a few things, but basically people, like some of the staff thinks that he could probably teach them a few things. So yeah, Deku is godlike. So yeah. So now it's the ball throw, and or no, it's this. He gets his like acceptance, and he's like, "Oh, you have a scholarship, full pay. You don't have to pay for lunch. You can use every single facility in the MUA. So even the things that are only restricted to third years, he's able to use, and stuff like that. So yeah." I'm debating on whether I should just give him a hero's permit on the spot. Nah. I'll let him earn it, even though he's practically already earned it. So, yeah. So, Deku basically walks up into class, and oh, I'm also giving him radar, similar to Daredevil. Not like he needs it, but like I'm just giving it to him. And then he sees he's earlier than everybody. So he sees that there's a guy behind the desk, and I'm gonna say it's about 30 minutes before class starts. Basically, he walks up to him, wakes him up, and he says, "Hey, if you're extremely tired, just eat this, and you'll be able to get basically a full night's sleep in 30 minutes. So basically, Aizawa, realizing who it is, because he's Deku's well known among heroes, He takes it, he eats it, and he just like passes out on the spot. And then basically everybody starts walking in, and then everybody sees Deku, and then they're all like freaking out because this absolute god is in their class. So yeah. So Deku basically is just sitting there, and I think he's basically getting swarmed by everybody, like asking him questions like what's his quirk and stuff like that. And then he says, guys, we need to quiet it down because the teacher's sleeping. He's had a rough night, so yeah, just be quiet. I'll answer your questions later, but be quiet because he's trying to sleep, and I don't kind of want to get him mad because he's expelled entire classes before. So let's try to be on his good side. So yeah, basically everybody's like whispering the best that they can. And it's like 30 minutes later, and basically the pill that Deku gave Aizawa wakes Aizawa up. And Aizawa's all energized, and he's like, everybody be quiet, class is starting. Like, Bakugo and Deku are sitting next to each other, and then like a bunch of girls are just surrounding Deku. So yeah, that's a thing. Aizawa says, it's a quirk assessment. We're taking a quirk assessment, and Deku and Bakugo and basically all the girls in the class walk out because Deku walked out, and Bakugo and Deku are like bros, and all the girls want to hang out with Deku, so they walk out, and then like I'm gonna say Ida says like, what about the what's it called, orientation? About orientation, we don't. And Aizawa says we don't have time for orientation. Follows the dude that walked out. So yeah, Deku is changing with Bakugo and Deku are changing, and I'm gonna say Deku is a little bit more ripped than Bakugo, but they're both pretty ripped, and like all the boys start walking in, and they like see both of them, and they're like freaking out because they're both ripped. So yeah, they're like asking questions like, how many times do you work out in a day, like stuff like that. So basically, yeah. So Deku, he's also able to see other people's quirks. So yeah. So basically, it's the ball throw part. Deku takes up the ball because he was first in the entrance exam. And he basically sees that he needs to try and get infinity because there's one other person that's able to get infinity, and he wants to try to be on top. So basically, he throws it as hard as he can with his super strength, maxing his super strength out. Throwing it as hard as he can. And that alone gets 1,000,000 meters. And then on top of that, he just like starts manipulating the wind to be as strong, just in one area to be as strong, to move the ball forever. So basically it's infinity because Deku has unlimited stamina. And there's no drawbacks to his quirk. So, yeah. Deku gets first in everything. Except for the ball throw. He ties for first. So technically first in everything. So, yeah. This is a pretty long video. So, I think I have nothing better to do. I'll just keep going. So, yeah. It's the hero versus villain test, I do believe. So, yeah. I'm gonna say that it's Bakugo and Deku versus Todoroki and Ida. So, yeah. So, Ida already kind of hates Deku and Bakugo. Todoroki, he's just trying to beat everybody to, like, be the best. So, yeah. So, Deku and Bakugo, they basically walk in. Todoroki freezes the entire floor, but Bakugo being able to manipulate his body heat and having explosions, and Deku just being an absolute god, walk right through it. Todoroki comes... No, I'm going to say Ida comes to attack them, but he's wearing, like, spiked boots, ice spiked boots, so he's able to walk and run on the ice. So, yeah. So, basically, Deku says to Bakugo that, like, he's all yours, like, take him out, and then, like, capture tape him, so we're able to capture him. And then he walks up to Todoroki, and Todoroki just shoots, like, a bunch of ice. But Deku just, like, summons Mjolnir out of... And, like, Mjolnir comes through a window and, like, destroys the ice and lands into Deku's hand. And basically, he starts swinging it, and then, like, lightning strikes down onto Todoroki, but it won't kill him or anything because Deku has control over that. So, yeah. Basically, Todoroki's knocked out, and he capture tapes him. Deku just, like, or not Deku, Bakugo floored Ida and capture taped him, so they win from there, and then Deku proceeds to touch the bomb. So, yeah. Like, it was basically unfair, because you have two prodigies with their quirks going up against two people that were trained by heroes, per se. People who, and one prodigy with their quirk, and then one god. So, yeah, who's gonna win? The prodigy and god are probably gonna win, so, yeah. So, after that, everything goes the same. Oh, I forgot to mention that with the quirk assessment test, nobody got expelled because, yeah, it's too complicated. So, basically, All Might's, like, the fight between Bakugo and the fight with Bakugo, Deku, Ida, and Todoroki was so unfair. We'll have the entire class against Bakugo and Deku. So, yeah. Deku gives a temporary quirk to Bakugo, and that's cloning. So Bakugo is able to clone himself. Oh, I forgot to mention, Bakugo's arrogance is toned down a lot because he's not the strongest. So, yeah, he's more like a chill, hot-headed, somewhat type of guy. So he's chill most of the time, but he can get pretty mad. But, not as mad as he would have been in canon. So, yeah. Now, Deku, basically, he gives Bakugo the cloning quirk, where he's able to clone himself, but it's only temporary. So, yeah. He says to Bakugo, like, beat the boys in a fair fight, but don't hurt the girls. Just capture tape them. But, like, beat the boys in a fair fight. So, yeah, that happens. Basically, Bakugo takes on half the class and Deku takes on the other half. So, yeah. Bakugo has clones because he's not as strong as Deku, but Deku, he's just absolutely wrecking everybody. Like, he has Mjolnir, he has lightning, and then he has wind, and nobody could touch him because Ultra Instinct and Spider Sense. And then if somebody does somehow touch him, the armor, and if somebody breaks through the armor somehow, there's the healing factor. So, yeah. Pretty much impossible to touch Deku or hurt him. So and Deku's hero costume is this. Like, his hero costume is this. But it's not made out of, like, restricting material. It's made out of stuff that's able to stretch, so he's able to do stuff. So, yeah. That happens. Bakugo and Deku win, obviously, so, yeah. Bakugo gets vice president, and because Bakugo gets vice president, Deku gives him somewhat intelligence and somewhat battle strategy, but it's nowhere close to All Might's battle strategy and nowhere close to Nezu's intelligence. So, yeah. And Deku gets president, of course, because, yeah. Hasn't been an hour yet, so I guess I'll do so basically when the press happens, Deku just like walks through the gate and like he says, "Go before a hero comes," and then you get in trouble from a hero. I'm just gonna warn you right now. Get out, or somebody will make you get out. And then the reporter just, like, gets mad because she thinks that he's a cocky little kid. So, yeah. And she's like, "Just give us All Might and we'll be out of your hair." And he's like, "No." So, yeah. Basically, when the press comes in, Deku just, like, gives himself a quirk real fast to have a booming voice. So, yeah, he's like, "It's just a press, chill out." And then even if there was a villain attack, there's, like, about, like, 50 heroes on site, so chill out. And plus there's All Might, so chill out. So, yeah, it's the USJ, I guess. And, like, a bunch of people are asking him what his quirk is, and he just says, "I can give myself any quirk and choose the drawbacks and give people quirks." So, yeah, Kaminari asks if he could have the ability to have electricity and, like, not have to be dumb after that. So Deku basically gives him, like, a pretty good electricity quirk. And Momo says that, like, she has to eat a bunch of sugar or not sugar, she has to eat in order to produce stuff. So basically, Deku gives her a quirk where she has a pouch on her belt that will give her unlimited food. Because, yeah, why not? And then, what's his name? Tokuyami. He has the problem with Dark Shadow losing control in the darkness. So basically, Deku gives him full control over his quirk. Because, yeah, he's gonna be a hero, so why not just, like, help your fellow heroes? So not only is he, like, not in trouble when he goes into the dark, but he's able to control how strong he is even in the light. So, yeah. Now, who else? Sugar Rush, the Sugar Rush guy, Sato. Basically, Deku takes the drawback away of him being dumber every time he like takes 10 grams of sugar. So yeah. Who else? Todoroki basically asks for full control over his quirk. Basically, Deku gives him that and tells him that he really should use his fire side because it's his quirk. So yeah. And then Ochako asks if he's able to take away the side effect of her quirk where she gets nauseous. So he basically does that. Yes, Mineta asks if he could like pop off his hairballs and like throw them without his head bleeding. Deku refuses because Mineta's a pervert, and to be honest, I kind of hate perverts. So yeah, Mineta has no help because everybody hates him, and if you like Mineta, you're not my friend. So yeah. So USJ, Deku walks in, and he already senses that there's people here. He tells Aizawa and All Might that there are people here, like villains with malice intent. So yeah. When the portal opens, Deku's just like down there immediately, and he's like wiping out everybody. Like, the Nomu didn't even stand a chance. Like, the Nomu just like got destroyed in one hit from Mjolnir. And like, when the Nomu got on the ground, Deku just put Mjolnir on the Nomu. So yeah, Shigaraki tried to pick up Mjolnir, but nothing happened. So yeah. So basically USJ goes the way you would think if there was a god in the classroom. Like, everybody's down in 10 seconds flat. Like, the Nomu's down, Shigaraki's down, Kurogiri's just like nowhere to be found. All the heroes, or all the villains that were in the water are down. All the villains are down. So, yeah. So basically, Kurogiri just opens a portal under Shigaraki and then he falls through. And then they get out of there. But all the villains are, like, caught. And in the middle of it all, Deku just put a tracking device on Shigaraki. So, yeah. Since USJ is done, I'll be ending this now. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell because it'd mean a lot. So, yeah, get this video to 3 likes and you'll get in part 2. Bye.